everybody, welcome back to Tales from the Long Box. It's the show where we talk about comic books. It's the big two, talking about the big two. Today we are talking about the big two.
Baby.
We're talking about Daredevil Yellow. It's a pretty good book by Jeph Loeb.
Pretty good.
Tim Sale.
Really stinking good, Marshall.
Hey man, just because I love it doesn't mean that you have to love it too.
Oh, just because Marshall loves it doesn't mean you guys have to love it too.
Yeah, it's okay.
But because I love it, you guys do have to love it.
Sorry,
understand?
no.
Get with the program.
No opinions of your own.
Yes, correct.
It was written by Jeph Loeb, penciled and inked by Tim Sale, colored by Matt Hollingsworth, lettered by Richard Starkings and Wes Abbott. This is the first of 4 books in the Marvel Colors series, essentially. That encompassing Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Hulk Gray, and then eventually, after a long wait, Captain America White.
Yes.
They are very good. I enjoy them. We're talking about all of them over the next 4 weeks.
Get stoked.
It's going to be great. And
Christmas will be in there somewhere too.
Yeah, Christmas might happen.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Unless the world ends.
Now is kind of the beginning of the Christmas season if you're watching this at release.
Yeah.
If you're watching it later on, happy whatever season you're in.
Yeah. Hanukkah.
Other times of the year.
Springtime.
Yep.
Tuesday afternoon.
National Left-Handers Day.
National Left-Handers Day.
August something.
Richard Nixon's birthday.
Oh.
He dead? He's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
He's dead. So we can talk about this book, Michael. I've got a lot of stuff to say about it.
Dude, I'm stoked to talk about this book. You get some of everything from Daredevil with this book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that I don't always love like a rehashing of an origin story.
Yeah. But you don't really, there's a little bit of that in this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, there's a helping of it, but man, is it done well. Like I think that you tell me, I guess. Do you think Daredevil's one of those characters that like we're getting into a point in the zeitgeist where like we don't need the Spider-Man origin story. That's why the MCU Spidey doesn't have one on screen yet. Same thing with Superman. Do you think that Daredevil is going to be the newest like in that? Because I feel like a lot of people really understand, like whether it's through the TV show or whatever medium it is. I feel like people just know what happens to Daredevil.
I think generally, maybe. I think that this book in particular could be a little bit confusing for that because it does not necessarily follow the continuity that Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. established.
Not 100%.
Which was a specific choice that they made. They kind of are fast and loose. Loeb and Sale are kind of fast and loose with continuity throughout all of these books to a certain degree. They mess things around in ways that I don't know make that much of a difference ultimately. It feels like it's just Jeph Loeb being like, this is my preference and you have to deal with it, more than it actually makes a difference in the story. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times if you just jump right in with a character, sometimes it works, but you have to really have written it well and be able to get the implication of a lot of things.
Because of the implication.
It is because of the implication that sometimes these things work.
Yes.
That if you don't have that, it kind of just feels empty, which is why like the MCU Spider-Man feels a little empty sometimes, is that we just kind of skip over Uncle Ben, even to the point of like erasure. Like we're not even mentioning him a lot of the time. We're like vaguely saying something happened. Oh man, but with everything that's gone on with May, I can't do. It's like just talk about Uncle Ben.
Yes.
Why are you scared of this?
I'm like, well, is that lack of commitment on the part of the studio?
I don't know.
Or what? It's like maybe we're going to retcon this later on. So let's be kind of iffy.
The idea. We know what happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a point where like there's always a new audience. There's always a young audience, and those people don't know it. Yeah. So I think it's better to have something in there than not have something in there. So what this story does well, I think, is tell that story. But me as a person who has read the Frank Miller run, has watched the Netflix show, which is heavily inspired by the Frank Miller run, specifically The Man Without Fear by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. It is a little confusing initially.
Sure.
Because I'm reading this and I'm like, how old is he here? Mm-hmm. Did he not go off and train with Stick? His dad is still alive and he's in college. Yeah. Like all of these different, it doesn't quite line up, to which Jeph Loeb would say, let me find the quote here. Yeah. So the book is somewhat in its own continuity, ignoring what Frank Miller and J.R. established as Daredevil's year one story and Man Without Fear. Loeb's response to this was the harshest critics, the continuity police, were bothered by when we branched off from what Frank Miller had established. I don't know. Doesn't it bother anyone how much that branched off from what Stan Lee and Bill Everett had created? There isn't even a yellow costume in it. So there's something in all 4 of these books that are very intentionally living in kind of a nostalgic Silver Age world where we're looking back on these things within the continuity. And I made a note at one point when he's fighting, Daredevil's fighting Electro in this, he says something about how he forgot how the costumed villains never used to kill anybody.
Yep.
And that's an interesting kind of like side effect of just changing editorial mandates and changing tastes over time, but they're not retconning that into, well, those things were happening. We just didn't have it on the page. It's that things have literally changed within this timeline, and the story and the world has gotten darker. And that's part of these stories. And that's part of these kind of sad, nostalgic narratives. So looking at it in that way, you can really see how much Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb love the Stan Lee stuff. They love, in this case, Stan Lee and Everett, who originated Daredevil for Spider-Man. They love, in particular for that thing, Romita Sr. And Stan Lee. So this book opens up, Stan did do the introduction to it, and it's just so classic Stan. Some of my favorite quotes: the mere fact that you're gratefully holding this book and eagerly devouring this oh so beautifully written intro right now shows that you're a reader of rare good taste. So you obviously agree with everything I've said so far. Perfectly, Stan. Yes. By the time I got to book 4, Never Lead With Your Left, I started to feel depressed, knowing I was already halfway through the series. it's like that 1960s salesman, dude.
He's such a showman, you know?
Anyone who can get to the last page without a lump in his or her throat is probably a spy from Brand Ech, which is their like code for like DC or other publishers.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's so
And
good.
my last one, each cover can truly serve as a prime example of the skill and sophistication in the new species of comic books, of which Marvel is the prime innovator.
So he's got to sell his thing.
Yeah, it's 2001, Stan.
Yeah,
You
can drop
need to
it,
do
man.
this.
Dude, I want a Greatest Showman style like movie musical, perhaps with with Stan and Jack and the whole. Like,
I would be equally annoyed by how rosy they would portray him.
I know they might if they did it right. Give me somebody who knows the industry to write this movie.
Yeah, give me Jack Kirby's family.
We could do this. You know, that could be us.
I don't know.
I'll write a screenplay. You and me, pal.
We can make it happen.
We should.
So, Michael, what the heck is this book actually about?
This book, so you mentioned the nostalgia that runs as kind of the through line through this entire color series that Loeb and Sale did. So all of them, all 4 of the miniseries are kind of this like meditation or rumination on the old like Silver Age of the character stories in this. They're not like exactly retellings or rehashings of origin stories or of old stories.
They just happen to be in those early days
Yes.
for these different characters.
Yep. And they do that by framing them through the characters, like thinking back in certain ways on like their old adventures and things. So in this case, it's Daredevil writing notes to Karen Page, who has since passed away in the narrative. He's writing notes to her and thinking back on the early days of their partnership and of his origin as Daredevil. And so, so he goes through a number of different villains. He goes against the Fixer, the Owl, Electro, the Purple Man. Am I forgetting anybody?
Probably.
Those are the big boys that he goes up against in this, and their goons, of course.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is it's just remembering these early fights against these villains and how Matt and Karen get involved with one another. And it's kind of a beautiful. It's the kind of book that I feel like, I don't know. Correct me if you don't get this from it. I feel like it's not trying to necessarily lead to anything specific. It's not trying to fit into the overall like existing Daredevil mythos in any
really
certain way. Like it really is a meditation on it. And I kind of love that.
Yeah. All of these kind of have a theme running through them. Spider-Man Blue is very much about grief and Peter not coming to terms with it as much as like, going back through that story and everything. This one is more about Matt coming to terms with his grief and sadness and how things have changed and gotten darker and everything like that, and reconciling that with the early days that were much brighter, were much more fun. This book is very much like a 1950s romantic comedy.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
In the best way. Yeah. And there are some noir dramatic elements to it, especially with Matt hunting down his dad's killer. But largely after that, the book really proceeds as, Foggy and Matt are both interested in Karen, and it's this little competition, and they both think that they, whichever one of them decides that they get to have her, then things are set.
Yeah.
But then ultimately Karen is like the one that's got them wrapped around her finger.
Yes.
Which is very good. But it's all of that is framed around the fact that Karen has been killed by Bullseye. I think it's interesting to note that these books, this one especially, this came out in 2001. Around, I don't know if it was before or after 9/11, but it was around that time. So you get a lot of comics in this period. This was pre-Marvel Knights, but it was in a separated line, prestige line, that would eventually become Marvel Knights by the time that Spider-Man Blue came around. And it's interesting that you get a lot of these more cynical, darker stories that specifically were supposed to be made with the Marvel Knights imprint. The goal is that was like their Vertigo. Yeah. It was the darker stories. It was the more grown-up stuff and things like that. It's interesting looking at these more cynical stories that were coming out of this post 9/11 era. Also a time when, comics were really in a hole. Like the industry was going way downhill. This is around the time that Marvel was really struggling. They had sold a lot of the film rights to a lot of their characters in order to just stay afloat. And Spider-Man was coming out the next year and was maybe a hope to save the industry of a little bit of revival.
But who knows ahead of time?
Yeah. I read an interview that Jeph Loeb did. This is how early 2000s. This was on like a Daredevil forum message board. Yeah. An interview that he did with this website. manwithoutfear.net or something.
I saw this. Yeah. Yes. I looked up the same thing.
It's great. And there's a point in it towards the end where he mentions like they ask him about the Spider-Man movie, because I think that they had announced that they were doing Spider-Man Blue next and it was going to come out around the same time as the movie.
Yeah. Great timing.
Yeah. And he was like, I don't know. Like, will it cause a big revival like Batman did, Batman 89? Probably not. Right. But we'll see. And, sure enough, really good. It did really well. And it did bring the industry back in a large way. But in all of that, it's interesting that movie is very Silver Age. Yes. And these books in this very grown-up line, in a very grown-up cynical time, chose to, instead of jumping into that Frank Miller, dark and grungy stuff, to go back into the Lee and Everett world, into the Lee and Romita world, and to say, what is the beauty in this, and what is the kind of nostalgic young love kind of thing in all of this? The joy of being a superhero that you get a lot in the original Daredevil runs that kind of goes away in the, lapsed Catholic self-hatred Daredevil that Frank Miller kind of popularized, which again, also good, just very different.
Yes. Yeah. It really does feel like playing a greatest hits album at the best time. Because the industry was in such turmoil, there was not a better time for them to hit everybody's favorite parts of these stories. So I was really happy to see that. I remember reading Spider-Man Blue years and years ago. I'm thinking man, this kind of has everything. And this, I hadn't read this yet, but this very much translated that as well. Yeah. Because it has what you want from Daredevil.
How do you know what I want from Daredevil?
I know what you want.
You're right. What do you think of Tim Sale in this?
Gosh, I love when Tim Sale, when I notice him doing his ink wash thing.
Yes.
I just get giddy about it. You know what I mean? Like there are parts when the darker portion of Daredevil's suit is just black. Yeah. He doesn't even try to color it in with its reddish brown kind of vibe. Yeah,
because that's the way that you would have done it.
Yeah.
Back then too.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, I can't get enough of when he does that. And I love what I love the best, especially reading this issue where it gives, in the back, it kind of gives some context to how it's done.
Yeah, and the design process and working with Matt Hollingsworth to make it look like it was even like originally, Hollingsworth's colors are gorgeous and really makes the ink wash look like it was just watercolor in the first place.
Yeah. No, it really, really does. And then it'll even give on the inside, like inside of some of the covers in this, it'll show like some of the coloring instructions that Say leaves behind. Yeah. And some of the covers will say, you know, like yellow, brown, red D or something that. Yeah. You know, it's so cool. And and it shows the trust between everybody in the creative team. It's like even Loeb has his script written out. And has it separated into the panels that Sale ends up using. Yeah. You know, and so it's like, it shows, again, I go back to this a lot with comics. It's like, I think that there, you know, in certain mediums, like in photography is kind of how I think of it. Everybody in photography, if you follow anybody on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever it is, you shouldn't. I wouldn't. No, you should.
Wouldn't catch me following anybody.
Everybody everybody's going to talk about using Lightroom to edit. Everybody's going to talk about the rule of thirds. Like there are these like hallmark things of like about the medium that just about everybody uses within reason. I'm not saying everybody like all the time.
It's everybody.
It's every last one.
And if you don't do it, you're dumb.
You're a fool and you're bad at the art.
But subscribe.
But yes,
like and subscribe and hit that bell.
Like and subscribe. Marshall loves being a YouTuber.
His Loeb's background is in screenwriting. He wrote a lot of movies. He wrote Commando. Other things that I can't remember. Yeah. He did an uncredited rewrite on a Arnold Schwarzenegger directed remake of Christmas in Connecticut in 1992.
I didn't know about that one.
Nobody did.
That's crazy work.
It is a very little known factoid. It's a very strange story that I can tell you about later.
Sounds like
it's a terrible movie. Diane Cannon plays the Barbara Stanwyck character. And Chris Christopherson
don't tell me.
plays in this, he's not a war hero. He's like a firefighter or something. And he saves a kid off of a mountain. I can't remember. It's so bad.
Let's have a rewatch of that this season with our wives. That'd be great.
It's crazy. It's very bad. But yeah, his background is in screenwriting. So if you do look at like the snippet of the script that he's written out there, it is written like a screenplay.
Yes, it is.
Where there is no right way to do it. I just went to my old high school and talked to some students about comics and graphic novels and what is all of it about. And I'm going to turn some of that into a video. I didn't record it, but I have the PowerPoint and everything. So I'll probably just shoot that and make it a thing on the channel so you guys can watch that soon, hopefully. Yeah. But part of that was talking about writing comics and like the question is, how do you write comics? And my answer is, I don't know. Yeah. Like there's not a right way to do it. And I had a few examples of like, here's the first, 12 pages, 10 pages or so of The Killing Joke. Here's how Alan Moore writes his scripts. And it's just dense. He's almost writing a novel, it looks like. Yeah. And then there's, Dark Horse has a specific method. There's the screenplay method in general. Some publishers have a way that they want you to do it. There's different things that are more standard than others, but ultimately there's not a right way to do it, which is very unique in that, if you're writing a novel, you're just starting to write your novel. Maybe you have an outline for it, but otherwise you're just starting to write it and then going back and fixing it up. Yeah. If you're writing a screenplay, there is a right way to do that. That if you don't do it, you're not going to get anything greenlit.
Yeah, disjointed and weird and off pace and things. Yeah.
But comics, it just doesn't, you have your own style of doing it. And this creative team of Sale and Loeb, and then whatever colorist they choose to work with, all the colors in all of these 4 books are fantastic. They're just fantastic. And Loeb talks a lot about his reverence for Tim Sale and how, he has ideas for books about Batman or Superman or whatever character. He has stories that he would like to tell that he's interested in telling, but he's not going to do it unless Tim says, yeah, I've got time and ability and interest to do that. Yeah. He's like, if Tim said, I have an idea and interest in doing a book about the Secret Six, then that's the story that we're telling next. Totally. And that's a really interesting dynamic of writer and artist in comics. And it really shows how important the art is in a comic in a large way, a little bit more so than just the pure writing of it. It's really an interesting thing, these two guys' dynamic specifically, and the kind of look inside it that we've gotten to have over the years here. The ink washes are great. The limited color palette really brings out the big moments.
They don't overdo the yellow thing either. It's the name of the thing, and it serves a narrative,
thematic
element.
Purpose of nostalgia and naivete of this early time and everything like that.
Yeah.
But there's even pages that just like, because you have a limited color palette, I can't remember who said it. I think it was Matt Wilson, who's a really great colorist who's worked at Marvel a lot. He did a video as part of the Marvel course with Proco, which is really cool. Talking about limited color palettes and everything, and how if you put too many things in a scene, it starts to become distracting, and the less things that you have there, the more you're able to direct the eye. And I just think about the scene of Battling Jack, Kid Murdock in the ring.
You don't need two nicknames. Why'd they do that?
I don't know. Because Loeb just wants to be unique a little bit. He has the I'm special syndrome a little bit here, and that's good, and that's fine because he's making good stuff.
Yeah.
But the way that it's all framed is so gorgeous, with like Jack punching out Creel, and then you like that. There's more bright color there, and in the foreground, there's Matt and Foggy in the audience and everybody, and you can see all these different things happening in this scene very clearly. But because of the way it's colored, it's very easy to distinguish these different things and get depth also between those different things. Earlier panel in that I really love is when Sweeney is trying to, the fixer is trying to tell Jack, like, okay, go down. Mm-hmm. And Jack is looking real tough, and he's like, I'm not going to, man, screw you.
Yeah.
And he is in much more color, and the fixer is kind of in shadow a little bit. And again, you get that depth, but it serves a narrative purpose, and it serves a physical, literal purpose within the art and the way that Hollingsworth is directing your eye and directing your attention.
Yeah.
And it's just this perfect like combination of all these different things that only comics can do. Totally. It's just so good.
Yep.
It's great.
It is so great.
I love that. Yeah. My favorite panel in all of this, there's a couple of them. One is when Matt is hunting down the fixer, and there's that great line of that he's taking a fall. His heart.
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
Is going out, but it's like he's, giving up, which is really interesting. That's a kind of a fun parallel there. I love the boxing language in that scene. Totally. But there's a spot in that one of those pages where Matt just looks like Batman. Yeah. And is that whole sequence of him chasing down those two guys is very Batman.
Yes.
Of like, I'm hunting these dudes down. I'm an unstoppable force, and it's like unnatural. Yeah. The fixer is running in the sewers, or not in the sewers, in the subway tunnels.
Yeah.
And Matt is there, and he's like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, how is he still here?
Yep.
It's incredible. It's totally. This like, oh no, like I was away and now he's there. And there's this great specific panel where he's kind of like in silhouette, and it's very gorgeous, very Batman. Yeah. My other favorite is the complete opposite of that, where Sale draws beautiful women, and he, in one panel in this, kind of goes away from his more icon style into a slightly more realistic style when he has a close-up on Karen. And I love when artists make comic book characters look like movie stars, like classic movie stars.
Yeah.
And there's this one panel in here where I swear that Sale was drawing Grace Kelly.
Yeah.
And it just...
I know the one you're talking about.
And it's very highly detailed compared to the much more like typical Tim Sale, slightly more cartoon style. But it really sells this, like, it's the Uzumaki thing, right? Of like, you've got the more cartoon thing over here and the really detail thing over here. And because there's that separation, it really like snaps your brain into focus mode of like, this matters and this is important. Totally. And it's a big hit.
Yeah.
And that one, like Grace Kelly, look at this, like one of the most beautiful women who's ever existed. Like, that moment gets you.
Yeah.
And it sells. You don't have to draw her that realistically for the rest of the book because that image sticks in our mind, and that's what we imagine Karen now. That's what we see. Yeah. And it's very, very good. It's very well done.
Well, and you'll get even more of that next week too with Spider-Man Blue, which focuses heavily on two very pretty ladies that are that like through the eyes of Peter Parker are the most beautiful women he's ever seen.
Oh, for sure.
It's this whole deal. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I am curious, speaking of that comparison with Daredevil and Spidey, How do you as an artist have a line on like, hear me out. They're two very like acrobatic characters.
Yeah.
But if you, I get the feeling that the way that Sale draws them both, if you put them just as silhouettes in front of me, I could still pick out that's how he draws Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's how he draws Spidey. How does he do that as an artist? Like, do you have a sense of how he distinguishes those two, even though they're kind of doing the same things?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's down to the kind of fighters they are and the kind of fighting they do. Is that Spider-Man, even if you compare Sale's work, Spider-Man is a bit more slim, and I think maybe a little shorter than Daredevil would be. And Daredevil, the way that Sale draws him, he's pretty lithe and kind of the more early Everett type stuff. Before he was more of a bruiser boxer type that he's drawn as today, where he's more of like the Christian Bale in Batman Begins physique. Sure. Yeah. But he's a little taller, which makes a bit of a difference. And he is a little bit thicker. Yeah. Like he's a bit more dense physically, not as much as like Sale's Superman, certainly, where he was intentionally drawing him as like a farm boy. But if we look at the scale of like more slim muscle men, you get Spider-Man wearing this costume that isn't like accentuating his muscles as much, but he's a lot more slim. Daredevil, who is a little bit thicker and a little bit taller, and then Batman, who's basically the same build as Daredevil is in this, except that his muscles are just accentuated and rippling in every possible way. Like that's kind of the main thing. Like even here, you can see he's kind of like denser and thicker. Yeah. His head is different as well. He's got a much more square jaw, where Peter is a bit more not coming to a point, but it's more rounded off. Like in Spider-Man Blue, Sale was very intentionally trying to evoke Romita Sr.
Yes, and you see that in a lot of there's a 1-to-1 like tracing element in a lot of these panels.
It's very clear of like where the inspiration is coming from. Even in the coloring. The coloring is very different. He's not doing the ink washes in that one, and we'll get more into that week. Yeah. But that's kind of the main thing to me, I feel like, is just their builds are different. And like modern day, if you look at the difference between these two guys, it's kind of the same thing, where like Daredevil is a bit more dense. He's a bit more of that boxer type thing. But it's a weird thing where you kind of have to do a little bit of that and a little bit of ninja. Yeah. And then Spidey is just full on like lithe, wiry kind of dude.
Yes.
But even then, I kind of prefer what Romita does and what Sale does in this, which is making him a bit bigger. Yeah. Like he's got a physique. And I like that for Spider-Man. I don't like when he's just kind of perpetually a teenager.
Totally.
Which I think I even read an interview where Sale was like, I think we can all agree that Spider-Man's best stories are beyond the year one. That's been done again and again and again. And we don't want to do that.
Over and over. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like college stuff is when it really gets good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would say, Michael.
I like
that. To that.
That's a great answer. I just love that their action shots like show them so differently yet so similarly too. It's like and it's Spidey's also like, in these non-human like positions that only the most flexible people could get into, whereas Daredevil's very much more
he's still a guy.
Like trapeze, like graceful, more of a swan to Spider-Man's.
I even saw Loeb compare him to Robin in a lot of ways, where I
like that, where
like Frank Miller's Daredevil is very Batman-esque, and he put a lot of Batman into that version of the character, but the original version of him was much more like Robin in that he is very acrobatic and he has this kind of wonder and excitement about being a superhero that Batman doesn't have. Batman has that dark mission that we more associate with Daredevil now, especially because of the Netflix series. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Totally.
It's really good. I mean, the legacy of these books, they're still hugely popular. Spider-Man is the biggest one of these four for sure, but the second in line would easily be Daredevil Yellow.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, these books, their DC work was already really popular with Dark Victory, Long Halloween, Superman for All Seasons, but these books really cemented Loeb and Sale as like a powerhouse creative force. Yeah. And it's just really good stuff. I'm a big fan. I'm excited to read the rest of them. I've never read, I mean, we said this off the air. Neither of us have read Hulk Gray or Captain America White before.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't. They weren't even in my conscience or consciousness rather as inclusions with these.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get into those and see what the heck is going on with that. That's what we have to say about that book. Next week we are talking about Spider-Man Blue.
Get stoked.
So get excited for that. It's really good. Check it out, yo.
Pack it up, pack it in. Let us
pack it up, pack it in. That's what we have to say about that. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like this book, you can check out other stuff like Man Without Fear, like just Frank Miller's run in general. I've got some of that down here. Charles Soule's run is really good. Daredevil's is really good. Daredevil's been really good for most of the world.
Yes.
Read most of history.
Read all the Daredevil things. Yeah. Watch our former episode on Daredevil. Our first ever episode of this show was on the comics that inspired the TV show.
Yeah, about the new season of the show.
Yep.
I would say if you really like this book in particular, the one run on Daredevil that I would really suggest is Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's run on the character.
Which is Mark Waid.
Yeah, I really do love Mark Waid. I actually haven't read that run, but I know that it's a much more lighthearted.
The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
Kind of fun era for the character, which I think is even coming out of the Bendis stuff, which is really dark. So it's a bit of a whiplash in that. But he like moves to the West Coast and is, I think his identity is public at that point.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Feels very West Coast Avengers and fun. Yeah. It's cute.
Yeah.
You'd like it.
But yeah, check it out, everybody. That's what we have to say about that. Spider-Man Blue next week. If you want to check out the stuff that we do, here's Michael's book, Marauders.
Man, I love that book.
Michael wrote that book. It's really cool. It's full of poetry, and you can read it all the time if you want to.
Yes, it'd make a great Christmas present now that it's that time of year. As would Marshall's art, of which there are 3 examples right here.
Whoa.
Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, I had a little bit of
I don't know how I'm going to do that. But there's 3 things there. You can buy those on my imprint shop. There's a link in the description if you really are interested in it. And that's what I have to say about that. You can always reach out and ask about commissions. It's Christmas time.
Heyo.
So maybe you need a gift. It's probably too late by the time that you would reach out for this one. But, maybe.
Never too late.
I don't know.
Also, we have new social media that's out. That's on our official
I'll have to add that
the
to
Longbox
the links.
Studios.
Yes.
So find that in the description as well.
Yeah. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram.
We're everywhere.
We're not on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're everywhere.
Twitter doesn't even exist. Joke's on you guys.
I'm on Twitter. Thanks everybody for listening to the show. See you next week. Thanks for coming by.
Keep reading comics. Love you. Marshall, I've said it since
if we go back,
third or fourth episode. I watched the Starter Comics one this very morning, and I said it at the end. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate your time. Thanks for spending your time with us. You don't have to, but we like it. Thanks.
Keep reading comics. Love you.
Good luck.